Okay, hi. We are continuing with the Great Depression, the second New Deal. We did the first New Deal yesterday. We had to do a second one because the first one didn't work quite as well as they was hoping it would. One of your classmates had a great question. He said, seriously, was there a third New Deal? In all reality, they probably did have to even adjust the second New Deal, but by the time you get to the third one, calling it the New Deal, probably it was like, nah, that's not, we can't do that. We're gonna call it something else. Because, you get to the point that it's like, okay, the 98th New Deal, it's not new anymore, right? So they very well might have had to come up with something else, but they referred to it as something else. Okay? All right. So the New Deal programs, of course, was put into place by President Roosevelt to help the country recover. Okay, we talked about this earlier. Okay, so you had the first and now the second one is coming out. So what was the second New Deal? Okay, despite several, that's what we're going to talk about. Isn't that amazing? Despite several new laws and regulations put into place with the first New Deal, the Great Depression continued and things weren't getting a whole lot better. Okay? In 1935,
that's lovely.
Don't say that word, Preston.
Isn't it amazing that they don't think that's rude to interrupt me, but if I scold them, I'm rude. Is it not amazing how that works anymore? Okay. President Roosevelt decided to try a new round of laws and regulations to fix the economy. The laws passed between 1935 and 1938 were often referred to as the Second New Deal. So we're 5 years into the deals, or first and second. Okay? So they want an overnight thing. That picture of that Social Security card right there, believe it or not, all of you have one of those.
What?
Yep.
Yeah.
Somewhere, your mom probably has it hid somewhere because you don't want somebody to hold that number, because if they can hold that number, they can open up, they can take out loans and all kinds of things in your name, and it would nothing be more exciting to turn 18 and find out you owe, $200,000-$300,000 to somebody.
I'm important.
Anyway, but yeah, now when you are born, when I was coming through, when you got ready to go to work, you applied for your Social Security card. Like I grew up working on the farm, I didn't need a Social Security card to work. Okay, but before I could go into service, they actually had to get my Social Security card, because you had to have that in order for the government to be able to ID you, in all reality. But you guys now, upon birth, your parents has to send off your Social Security card just to have it. Okay. Yes, Preston.
I thought that at first when I thought of a Social Security card, I thought it was that CVV code.
Oh no.
I know, but it's way longer.
Yeah, it's just got a series of numbers, and everybody has their number, and that's how they. I said track you. They don't necessarily track you, but they do. Anything you do, job related or money related, your bank accounts, all that stuff, you do have to use your Social Security number on it. So technically, they are kind of able to keep tabs on you there, if you would. All right. One of the most important aspects of the Second New Deal was the Social Security. Okay, and that act was passed in 1935. And this act was made to assist the elderly in retirement. It provided a pension to retired people. It cared for orphans and the disabled. It set up a system of unemployment insurance. Currently, retirement benefits are paid by payroll tax. Now, we've talked about that before. Like they keep out X amount, a percentage of what I make, and then whoever your employer is pays in an X amount percentage. So a nice little chunk actually goes into a retirement fund for
Mr.
Solomon. Actually what I have been paying in all these years are helping support people that are already retired. That's why I need you guys to grow up and get a good job, okay? Because you're going to be supporting me. Actually, I'll probably be gone until y'all get jobs. But anyway, yes.
About the Social Security question, don't dogs have Social Security?
What?
No,
No,
dogs do not have
that's your
Social
last
Security
your
numbers.
cereal number.
Calm down. That's your cereal.
They have a Ruby
Frosted Flakes?
tag, but they don't have Social Security.
No, I haven't.
All right. So half of the tax is paid by the worker, the other half is paid by the employer, okay? In order to help with high unemployment, the Workers' Process Administration, the WPA, was formed. Okay, the WPA hired unemployed workers to build different public projects like airports, schools, roads, bridges, parks, things like that. The WPA actually hired around 8 million workers over the next several years. Okay, so it put a lot of people to work. In 1935, the National Labor Relation Act was passed by Congress, and it guaranteed that unions and workers had certain rights. It was also established that a federal board that would help both sides come to a wage agreement. In 1938, another labor law called the Fair Labor Standard Act was passed. Okay? And this law protected workers with a maximum work week of 44 hours, a minimum wage of 25 cents per hour, and it outlawed child labor. So you had to make at least, if you took a job, you had to make at least 25 cents an hour. They couldn't work you over 44 hours a week. Now that has since changed. For the longest time, 40 hours was considered full-time, and anything over 40 hours, you actually got time and a half. Like if you were making $10 an hour, anything over 40, you then started making $15 an hour. Okay, but back in a few years ago, that kind of changed, and now full-time is considered 30 hours a week. But so more people could get benefits, but that kind of, what that did was kind of bit them in the kneecap, if you would, because a lot of employers cut the hours of employers or employees down to like 28 hours a week, so they're actually making less money and still don't have benefits. So it's kind of there's always a way around things, unfortunately. All right, one of the last New Deal agency established was the United States Housing Authority in 1937. And this agency tore down slums and tried to build new, better housing for the homeless. And remember, this is when the codes start coming in. Homes had to be built to a certain standard. They couldn't just come in and slap up really poorly built homes for people anymore. They actually had to meet a code so they were safe and livable and things like that. Did the New Deal work? Many expert historians, politicians, economists have different opinions as to whether or not the New Deals really worked. Because the Great Depression didn't actually end until the start of World War II. So many experts give credit to the recovery on the new economy generated by the war and not the New Deals.
That's what I
Okay? Well, truthfully, you hate to admit it, but World War II did put a lot of people back to work, and it got the factories rolling again and all that.
So it's a good thing and a bad thing?
Yeah, so it was a good thing and a bad thing. It's a shame that we had to go to war and people had to die, but it's a good thing that the country comes out of the Depression. Yes? Yeah, a lot of people think that is what helped to end it. Yeah.
Good news and bad news. The good news is Dad got a job. The bad news is we're about to get into a war and your 18-year-old brother has to sign up for the military.
That's true. That's true. Other people, anyway, World War II, many experts give credit to the recovery to the new economy generated by the war and not to the New Deal. Other people argue that many of the programs enacted by the New Deal, banking reform, stock market reform, Social Security, are still necessary for a strong economy in a country today. And those things did. Banks falling under certain regulations, stock market coming under certain regulations.
Ooh.
Social Security, a lot of people, a lot of elderly people, that is their only source of income when they retire. You know, they don't have IRAs and a bunch of savings put back and all because, you know, they work their whole life and possibly live paycheck to paycheck. So this is their, what's helping buy food and pay their bills. So that's actually was a good thing. Either way, the New Deal had a significant impact on the country during the Great Depression, and it still has an impact on our society today. Okay?
What was that? Is that like a tiger?
Interesting facts about the second New Deal. President Roosevelt had helped radio broadcasts that he referred to as a fireside chat because most people had fireplaces or stoves or whatever to keep the house warm. And he was the first president to come all across and give you an update. Once a week he would come on and give an update as to how the country was doing.
I mean, who wouldn't? You just came out of a depression.
Right. In addition to construction projects, the WPA hired writers to create a series of guidebooks to kind of help people understand what was going on and what you could, you know, how to apply for this, that, or the other. The term New Deal comes from President Roosevelt's acceptance speech in 1932. In 1935, the FDIC raised the amount of savings insured at a bank from $2,500 to $5,000. Today, it insures you up to $250,000. Okay. The second New Deal also included a new tax program designed to tax the wealthy more than the poor in order to redistribute wealth. Anybody see what? And that's part of what our government is talking about today. Okay, we're still attempting to do that. Now, the simple truth is, the more money you make, you probably should pay more taxes.
That's true.
But I'm not sure you should be penalized because because you're a millionaire. I'm not sure you should be penalized because. But you should pay your share of taxes. But one man's opinion, I guess. All right, guys. Short and sweet today. Talk to you later.